I really don't like all this sentiment. Like recently, my wife had to go to Texas to be with her sister to help her move and stuff. Mm-hmm. At least that was the excuse for going to Texas for 6 days and leaving me home with the kids, which was fine. It was totally fine. I was looking forward to it. I had a great time.
Okay.
But I don't like all this sentiment about, oh, ha, Dad's home with the kids. Ha, is everybody going to survive?
Well, yeah, because I remember you mentioned, like, we have prayer time here at WBGL, and Jonathan was like, oh, Natalie's leaving for 6 days. And it was just kind of a prayer that she would have a nice time.
Yeah.
Well, then somebody was like, 6 days?
Yep.
And then they said, you're going to be home with the kids for 6 days?
I don't like all this sentiment like Dad can't handle the kids. Now, I will say that while I was home with the kids, about day 4, the police came to the door.
Oh, so it's true, maybe. Dad.
So, yeah, I mean, and I realize how that looks. I mean, the neighborhood realizes, okay, so she's gone. And
we better send the cops to check on him.
Well, that's the thing. So there was no immediate emergency.
Okay.
But the police are outside. And granted, the police have never shown up to my house before, like, say, when my wife's home.
So, like, what time of day was it?
Oh, it was about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay, they knock on the door? They ring the doorbell?
Yeah, well, what happened was, and see, maybe this is a little bit of a sign. I think it was nap time. So it was like 2:30. The kids, we have young kids. They're sleeping.
Okay.
And all of a sudden you hear at the door, boom, 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 boom.
Oh, no.
I'm going to tell you right now, you can judge me if you want to. I ignored the knock at the door.
But it was the cops?
I didn't know it was the cops.
Oh, okay.
I was way in the back of the house.
Okay.
Are we really saying this on the radio right now? So, yeah, the kids are asleep. I don't want the kids to wake up.
It's nap time.
That's a
big deal.
Despite all this stuff that we talk about trying to visit our neighbors and stuff on this show, here I am saying, somebody's knocking on my door at nap time and I don't even go.
Okay, so then what happened?
So then curiosity gets the best of me. About 3 or 4 minutes later, I'm thinking, I wonder who that was at the door. So I mosey on out there trying to tiptoe across, so the kids don't wake up.
Yeah.
And I see the police outside.
Oh, no.
I'm thinking, what could possibly have happened?
You're trying to think, did I do anything?
Yeah, or maybe did one of the kids wake up and go outside and one of the neighbors called the police? Well, of course not, because Dad's in control. Dad knows how to...
Dad is in complete control.
Yes. Here's what it was. It was something silly. Basically, there was a car on my property because my wife went to Texas with her father-in-law. Mm-hmm. So his car was at my house.
Okay.
Parked out on the street. I'd put it out there for 2 or 3 days.
Oh, okay.
My next door neighbor
called
the police.
What?
Now, is this something that people do in our society when there's a car that you don't recognize?
I mean, maybe. Some people do.
Parked legally on the street for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And you call the police?
Well, some people are like the neighborhood watchers.
Yeah.
They are the ones who, if anything is, fishy or out of order or whatever, they got to make sure that, nothing's going wrong, which is nice.
Right. Oh, yeah,
so,
I guess.
I mean, I guess it was just one of those things that was like, oh, that's not usually there. It's been there.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a couple days.
But then I'm starting to think, well, hold on a minute. Why didn't he just ask me? Like it was right outside my house, like, hey, whose car is that?
Oh, the neighbor, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Why didn't the neighbor just ask me rather than to call 911 about the whole thing? Well, then I got to thinking, maybe he did, and I just did, he knocked on the door and I didn't
maybe
answer
it. Was nap
So
time.
we'll never know the answer to this.
You learn some very important things in Sunday school.
Yes.
You learn about Noah's Ark and Jonah and the whale and Jesus' birth, the manger, all of that. Someone had texted in the other day, and she's a grandma, and she said that her grandson learned something so important in Sunday school. He learned a few weeks ago that God still loves you even when you are in timeout.
Oh, that's a good lesson.
Isn't that a good lesson? And so even when, you're not being a good kid or whatever, you get in trouble with your parents, you got to go sit in timeout, God still loves you. I was thinking about this, as us, as adults, and sometimes we think, oh, we messed up again. And it's kind of like our own version of putting ourselves in timeout.
Yeah, and is God really going to take me back after I messed up again?
Yeah, we're mad at ourselves. We're punishing ourselves. We can't believe we did that thing again. And so we're just kind of really down on ourselves. And the thing is that it's the same thing. God loves a little kid when he's in timeout. God still loves you when you keep messing up. Yeah, we were just talking about how that little boy, a listener, he learned at Sunday school that even when you're in timeout, God still loves you.
Right.
Which is perfect.
So Sunday school would say, well, yes.
Yes, of
God
course.
still loves you. But then, like we were talking about a few minutes ago, then you grow up and then maybe you make a bad choice and then you come to your senses and realize, man, I should not have done that.
Right.
And maybe you beat yourself up over it or whatever it is. And then you start to wonder, back to that Sunday school answer. Well, back in Sunday school, they said if I did something wrong, that God would forgive me and he would still love me. He wouldn't love me any less.
Right. Yeah.
But is that really still true when I'm 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old?
Yeah.
And let's just see what this very wise tweet said. It said, suppose the little one deliberately slipped off of his father's lap and walked away. So it wasn't that he just fell off of his father's lap, but he
was
deliberately
intentional about it.
got up there and run away. It asked the question, if you're the parent, would you still love the child in the child's absence? And Brennan Manning, who wrote this, says, well, there's good news, and that's that the Abba of Jesus, meaning, the love, the God person, is at least as nice a person as you are.
That's a good point.
It really is, isn't it?
When Jonathan is right, I like to let him know that he is right.
All right.
Just to keep me humble and everything. So, when Ruby was turning 1, my daughter, and I was throwing that big party and I was spending a bunch of money.
A couple of years ago.
And I was like, oh, this is just the only time. This is just her first birthday.
Right.
And you were
Yes.
like, no. You were like, if you do it big for 1, you're going to do it big for 2. And then you're going to do it big for 3. And then you said, what are you going to do at our 16th birthday party? And I was like, no. I was like, this is just a one-time thing.
Because you only turn 1 once.
Yeah.
Was, I believe, your rationale. But then the truth is, well, you only turn 2 once.
Exactly.
And then, of course, I know her birthday's here in a couple of weeks. You only turn 3 once and 3 nature and 3 this and 3 that.
know.
So how's that going?
So basically, I just want to say Jonathan was right.
Thank you
it's
very
very,
much.
very hard to go backwards in the birthday party planning when you've already done a big shindig once or twice. So this weekend is her 3-year-old birthday party.
Yeah.
And very excited about it. She wanted a Minnie Mouse theme. So
Very
that's
good.
what we're doing. We're pulling out all the stops. But it's fine. It's just that, it's hard to not do it a big deal after you already did the 2-year-old birthday a big deal and the 1-year-old birthday a big deal.
That's right.
Because it's like, what is she going to think if I give her a lame party when she's 3? She's going to think, oh, did I do something wrong?
Right. I mean, the last thing
What's
you
the deal?
ever want is for a 3-year-old to say, you know what, my best days are behind me.
No.